all the eminent religious leaders on the dais, coming from different churches, especially Dr. Yohanan, Miss, and Baba Tirumaniji, and also the Association Secretary, Biju Women, Archbishop Ji, and everyone, and you all, my sisters and brothers. I'm pleased and privileged to be here with you all who are inspired by the life as a journey of Parumala Thirumaniji. I have also with me C.R. Neelakandan, who has been a real activist, Mr. Rajiv ji, and so many, and some of, like Dr. Thomas, has worked with us for a few days or a small time, but in the Narmada Valley. Now, having completed 40 years of the non-violent Satyagrahi struggle in Narmada, I'm here in a different kind of program, because I'm not one who goes to mandir or masjid or church or gurudwara quite often. But we are with you all. And our slogan and our pledge has been Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, aapas mein hai behan bhai. And that is why we are really thankful to the contribution by the Parumala Thirumaniji. And I have been brought to this place by Mathai Thomas ji and so many who have given this opportunity. As a real saint, the Gregorios Thirumaniji was not just having the faith in Christ. He did reach out to Jerusalem. What is the condition of Jerusalem today? It's heartbreaking. And yet, he went there because he wanted to get the inspiration from that birthplace of Jesus Christ. No doubt that he was a devotee of Christ, but he always was a pure disciple of Christ. And he always said that it is not just the faith, but the path you traverse towards humanity, saving it with focus on the oppressed, the marginalized, with passion, with compassion, and with a vision of unity and equity. That is really being a devotee of Christ. And this is true about every single religion. The religion which is not just practicing rituals. Certain rituals do give us messages. But religion is a set of norms, principles, also values, and also various practices. And when we bend before someone like Parumala Thirumaniji, we certainly have to learn about his life, his lifelong contribution. That is what is resulting in bringing thousands of people here, and that too with a walk on foot from their own place. All this is really something that is very, very relevant today. His contribution, which Baba Thirumaniji just referred to, and others also, is something that is most relevant in the present context that we are observing, we are facing in this country today. And that's why when the work of someone like us is appreciated, I feel ashamed, because we know that we are falling short of saving humanity, of saving nature, of saving equity, saving unity. Although yesterday, day before, was the Day of Unity that was celebrated in many parts of the country, remembering Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. A grand ceremony took place in the Narmada Valley, just downstream of the Sardar Sarovar Dam. The picture around with the indigenous communities, the Adivasis staying there, where 3 workers faced death just 2 days before that, is something which was not even mentioned in that ceremony. So when we organize ceremonies in the name of religion, we have to really share and express and again bring to our hearts the vision that we want to carry and we need to carry in our life. And this is what was the message by Parumala Thiruvaniji. Why did he choose this place? Because the Pamba River, the greenery all around, the natural ecosystem, something that he had in his heart as the gift of God. No doubt that it is also a life support, not just a gift. And that is something which is valuable for saving humanity, is now discussed and debated across the world in various summits, whether in Paris, whether in Copenhagen, whether in Glasgow. But what is happening on the ground? Some saint like Parumala Thiruvaniji only understands, and we must take that to our heart and also look at what is happening around. We know that he led an ascetic life, and he never was for worshipping himself as a hero. This is a great book that brought to me by Dr. Elias Jimmy Chaturthi from his family, who was born after he left his short span of life of 54 years, 54 years. But it really has saved that vision for our younger generation to really take to the heart. And that is why we appreciate that he was the first Indian saint to be declared from the global authorities. What do we mean by a saint? He rightly says that it doesn't mean a Rishi who leaves the world, goes to Himalayas or some deserted cave and sit there and has peace of his mind. He was really a sannyasi, devoting his life and his actions. Apart from being an administrator of the church and a ruler in a way, he was not like the present day rulers. He was living a simple life dedicated to those whose life was under attack. And that message that he gave to various churches, as Baba Thiruvaniji referred to, is a message that should come to our minds also. And how that really made him committed to bringing the Dalit communities into the fold of his family. Is there no casteism in India today? there is still the caste-based economics, caste-based politics, and caste-based socio-cultural discrimination, which is faced as hell by a number of crores of people in this country. How much inhuman approach is this? If he was present today, he would have certainly gone and stayed on the footpath amongst them who are still lying everywhere right up to Delhi. You can see if you cross that, they lying there even in the rainy season and have no house, no shelter, no employment, and the children are also in their laps, not in the schools. And that is why when with his inspiration, when someone like Baba Thirumaniji plans through the Sahodaran-like project to give them a shelter, that is something that we must salute him for. But that vision of Parumala Thirumaniji was really with the humanitarian approach. And that's why he has said very, very clearly that being a religious devotee of Christ and yet remaining committed to secularism is something that is a must. And his contribution was based on that. That is why every missionary, he was in a way challenging. If there was any discriminatory approach, he was giving message, even to the, which is that, Niranam Diocese Church. He had given messages as a social intervener. And that is why the sainthood is not 100% possible for every one of us to get within our mind, our vision, and our life. But still, whatever part we can get, will we not stand for unity in this country? When the casteism and communalism has become a part of the politics and economics, as I said, and is leading to violence up to mob lynching everywhere, that is something which is against the Constitution of India. What is said in Article 25 of the Constitution, each religion one can promote and even propagate. Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar accepted Buddhism. Whichever religion one really feels for, not only for rituals, but what is happening through the religious leaders towards the society, and especially focusing on the marginalized, peripheralized sections, is something that will bring the people together, and that should. And that is what is a duty of everyone who comes and becomes a part of the larger and larger family of any religion. If this doesn't happen, then that is shameful, and that is not really religious. It is fundamentalist approach. That is what is dividing this society at large, which was of Ganga Jamuna Tehzeeb. We see what is happening around. In Chhattisgarh, when a number of houses of the Adivasis, indigenous communities, were demolished, that was because they had accepted Christianity as their religion. We went for fact-finding. We inquired with every family, and we found that in some families, there were children who had become mentally sick, and they felt very peaceful when they came into the meditation course given by the pastors. And was there anything wrong? And the children got cured. And such community, a small one, faced demolition of their houses. When we raised the question to the officials, the SP and the collector, we found that they also did not have the vision of unity at all. And so it was not possible to expect from just the bureaucrats and the politicians. When the next day, early morning, I wrote down all the experiences as an interim report to be given to the chief minister, he said, whichever party he may belong to, he said, Didi, don't write the full report. Otherwise, that will instigate. I said, why should it instigate anyone? You can control this happening. But he was very scared of taking any action. So when this happens, whose duty is it to stop this kind of discrimination in the name of caste or religion? When the Dalits are attacked, when the Muslims are attacked, when the Christians are attacked, it is our duty. This constitution really doesn't speak about the duty of the state, but also the duty of the citizens. And that is why we really salute and take inspiration from the Parumala Thirumaniji like saint. It is also necessary to really understand why is even education not accessible to lakhs and crores of children in this country. On one hand, it may be on the basis of caste, when Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar in his childhood was also made to sit outside the school, but he became barrister. So everything is possible to be changed if there is courage and commitment. But today, it is also because of the inequity which has taken a vulgar proportion. When the education is privatized, it is corporatized, many companies are running. It cannot be like schools run by the missionaries, which I have seen across the country. It has a different approach. It is profit over people. And that is what needs to be seen as something that we must intervene into and create our own ways of teaching and educating students. What Parumala Thirumaniji had said about education, that education is also action, which is needed in all respects. And his whole focus was to really deal with discrimination and bring in unity through education. But he was also for taking the children as the next generation towards the social commitment. And that commitment has to be in the value framework which is in the preamble of the Constitution, where Article 39, for example, I would take, says that the property of the country like India should not be in the hands of a few individuals or families. Exactly that is happening today in this country. Someone, billionaire, is earning 1,000 crores or 1,600 crores per day. Can we tolerate that crores of families, 80 crore people, are still compelled to depend on 5 kg ration, cheap grain, without even any dal, without even kerosene or sugar or jaggery? We cannot. It is our duty, therefore, to really question this inequity, which is leading to injustice in a most unhumanitarian way. And this is very, very easily possible if the rulers take a decision that we will have equitable development. We will not allow any particular family or a corporate to really take over, which is the loot and exploitation. And this kind of approach is because of the changes that have come up in economy. I say everywhere I see that everything is coming, whether it is tea, whether it is sugar, everything which can come directly from the producer is coming through the intermediaries. Even agricultural produce, the grains, the fruits are coming through the intermediaries, while the farmers' suicides continue even today, at least 30 per day. When we are fighting for the minimum support price of the farmers, and I think you had one farmers' meet as a part of this festival. I salute you for that. It's very essential to look at the agriculture, which was a culture of a different kind, which was based on self-reliance, which was based on relying on the natural resources around, and not just for feeding themselves, but feeding all of us. Where do we get our food from? They are the annadatas, and they are the ones who are now compelled even today to face deficit, loss in their agriculture, their horticulture. And this is in almost every state with some difference. In Kerala, there is some change in the value of the produce. But is there proper acquisition or procurement of the agricultural produce throughout? In Kerala, in Bihar, there are no mandis. There are no agro-produce committees all around. So this is also seen as how can we not stand with farmers? It was Parumala Thirumani who was sensitive about what was happening to the farmers. No doubt he was gaining the resources for his work, even from the paddy growers. But today, what is happening to the paddy growers? The paddy land or any agricultural land is being taken over for the non-agricultural purpose. And that is affecting the food security of this country. If the agricultural land is converted into non-agriculture, will we only depend on the American companies? 47 of them came to India and have reached agreements with the Commerce Ministry. That too was done first during the Code of Conduct period, just before the last parliamentary election, which was totally illegal. But then that is now, after the election, reflected in the agro-business policy that has come up again. With 735 farmers who faced martyrdom, who died during the 13 months agitation and movement of farmers on the borders of Delhi few years ago, and compelled the government to repeal those 3 anti-farmer acts. The same provisions in those acts are now reflected in this new policy. What does that mean? That means that even the PDS, the free or the cheaper ration, will be stopped if the grains cultivated by our farmers are stored not in the Food Corporation of India's godowns, but in the godowns of some company, A or B. And that is the Auditor General's report saying that thousands of crores they are looting because the rent that is charged to them is much, much less. But more than that, what will be the impact? Instead of food, the poor people will get money. And where will that money go? It will go to the liquor shops, or to the lottery. The two businesses which even the state like Kerala is earning the maximum amount from. And every state is earning. So when even in the context of Onam it is said that we have done the best business with liquor, 800 crores per week. Is that really humane? Is that really in favor of those who need 5 kg of grains? And if therefore they change it to DBT as per the new policy, what will happen not only to the other poor but also the agricultural laborers who are really working to really give us food? And this is what is the changing economy like. This is just one example I'm giving. But the overall economy, when it is import-export oriented, the common people who may be having passion or compassion for the poor also do not know exactly what is happening at the national or global level. And that is why education, giving an idea of what is the cause and what is the effect, is the most important thing that was understood by the real saint like the Parumela Thiruvaniji. We must understand, therefore, we have our Jivan Shalas, schools of life in the hilly areas in Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. Our focus is on getting the children grow up into the real human beings, real citizens of this country. And in today's economic policy, so-called the new economic policy, this kind of things do not have any focus on. The new economic policy is focusing on making the children believe in corporate jobs and careers. It is focused on this religious fundamentalism or that religious fundamentalism, which will again get rid of whatever unity we have saved up to 75 and more years since independence. So what kind of education we should really give to the new generation is also a question. When they have become the students of WhatsApp university, that is a different university. That is a double-edged sword. No doubt we get maximum information from Google, from this, from that. But then that is turning the next generation towards a different path. I hear always that many youngsters from Kerala are all for going abroad, leaving India. Who will work on the dharatal, the ground level, to change the reality into peace, justice, equity, is a question. And that is why we remember this saint and his vision. When there was a famine, he reached out. When there was smallpox epidemic, he reached out to each of the family. That is the great thing. We reached out to one institute where the leprosy patients are kept over years in Wardha. And someone outsider came and occupied that institute and took all the documents and ran away. And he was of a different attitude. I know your church is Orthodox church. When I first read this word, I was surprised. But then I know that you are not Sanatanis of that kind. But when they come and occupy, when we went there and we said, we want to go inside the institute, all the lepers came and cuddled me. Should we get afraid or scared of meeting lepers, of meeting any person who is facing any disease? No. The message from Parumala Thirumaniji is that you should go and reach out to them. And today, for having that, we need to have courage and commitment, as I said. But it is very essential to understand that the whole change in the economy and the inequity is also because the view of nature, natural ecosystems, so-called environment, which includes not only land, water, forest, rivers, hills, mountains, but also human beings and all living beings. Approach towards nature is changing in a biggest way. What is happening to each of these natural resources is something that must be taken into consideration. And we cannot just feel sorry when the Chirumala kind of village in Wayanad faces landslides. Not only a church, a mandir, a masjid is affected, but hundreds of human beings have faced death. Hundreds of women came when I went there and we had a rally. Why? Because they purchased, as lower middle class or lower class families, small pieces of land, taking loans through Kutumbashri kind of scheme and taking loans from the various banks. And they built their own houses. And that was only possible. They could not purchase any piece of land in the cities or below Wayanad in Kozhikode. But they faced this. And when their house got devastated, when the husband died, when the elder son died, how could they repay the loan? When the question was raised, all party leaders came on the dais. And I got commitment from all of them that they will raise this issue in the assembly and take a commitment from all banks to give them freedom from debt, freedom from loan payment. But up till now, except a few banks, that has not happened. But why did this calamity happen in the area like Wayanad is something that needs to be thought of by anyone and everyone who knows that the nature is our life support. Can any company create oxygen? Can any company create food? Even the water which is filled in the bottled water, which we boycott, comes from where? I have a reply under RTI in my hands that companies buy the water for 55 paisa per liter and sell for 18 to 20 rupees per liter. When they are earning so many times the profit, why can't the farmers and the farm laborers get the due price for and due wages for their labor? So this natural and human resources getting together was the path of economy through which there was self-reliance and fulfillment of all basic needs of all the citizens in this country, which is the real development. But what is happening today all over is something that makes us remember what was the environmental approach of not just one saint, but many, many saints who fought for freedom of the country, but also who have given their lives for saving nature. We kind of people need not even be mentioned. We are ashamed that we are failing. We are falling short of saving our forests, our rivers, our hills, our mountains. What has happened in Wayanad? is because the forest is affected. And over here, since 1980s, there was the discussion about saving Western Ghats. You all may be knowing because there are many churches also in the Wayanad Western Ghat region. Madhav Gadgil's report was the most relevant and a timely report, with whom our colleague kind of Lata, who was working in the Chalakudi river, also worked a lot. They went from Gram Sabha to Gram Sabha, every village community, and took their views as to what should be done and what should not be done. That kind of democratic planning was proposed in the Madhav Gadgil's report, which is not happening till date. Well, Kerala was and is still a bountiful and beautiful state, as I always call it. And district planning approach was taken in Kerala, which was impressive for many, many states. I know that the officials were sent from Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh to Kerala to learn what kind of district planning can happen and how. But is that happening now? Even that Makkadi Panchayat, Makkadi, I think, in Wayanad, was not given any role in deciding what should be the change in the Wayanad region. Tourism is the focus. Thousands of tourists and the number increasing brings in total change in the ecosystem and also the socio-economic system in any area. I can give you the statistics related to what is happening in Himachal Pradesh because of tourism. What is happening in Uttarakhand because of tourism. When the Char Dham road is constructed, and even a saint, a Maharaj in the Badri Dham had to say that I would devote my life and commit suicide if this continues. Because when there are the religious centers and people go there, but they are much influenced, motivated to come there just to have a darshan. Now when that happens, and for which in that fragile region like Uttarakhand, Char Dham kind of road and now a new railway and everything is constructed, how can there will be no landslides? Ravi Chopra, the Uttarakhand's environmentalist, was saying this again and again, that this road should not be, he was chairman of the committee appointed by Supreme Court, and still his view was ignored and the road was constructed. That is affecting also the rivers. In Churumala also we saw that such huge rocks were taken away and flown away through that river, up to 15 kilometers. Why does the rivers, the mother rivers, become so much attacking and like encroachers on life? It is because of two things. One is the change that has happened in the climate, and another is the change that has happened in the economy and the development paradigm, which is attacking nature, and the nature is reverting back. Many times people feel it is a natural calamity, what can we do? No, it is not a natural calamity. When carbon emission takes place, what is it because of? It is because of the thermal power projects, no doubt about it. But burning coal also have so much impact on the Adivasis who have saved the coal under their lands over generations. And for taking away that coal, they are displaced and face destitution. And when the coal is the main source of energy for India's power generation, more and more of energy-intensive technology and lifestyle is something that is affecting. If we do not put off the lights when we don't need it, we are also contributing to it. Please think of, we are not against science, we are not against technology, but the choice of technology and use of the natural resources through the various technologies is something that is challenging us today. Whole life is becoming not like Parumala Thirumaniji, which was simplistic life and ascetic life. And that is why we need inspiration from persons like him today, when the energy generation is also having much impact on life, on livelihoods. And the carbon emission is called as greenhouse gases. Are those green? Are those the gases which save greenery? Nowadays, everything, energy is considered as green energy. Airports, huge airports. We are not saying there should be no railway, which was Gandhiji's opinion in Hind Swaraj, to make the decentralized development and have every village community also to be self-reliant. We are not saying there should be no airport at all. I also feel ashamed when I have to use that part. But all of this needs to be simple and constructed, but not beyond limits. But that is what is happening today. And that energy-intensive technology, the change in the lifestyles of people, is something that needs to be rechanged if we want really to follow the path of this saint and the vision of other saints in our life. That is what the religion must teach us and give us the inspiration for. When the forest is lost, not only there are landslides, but the malba, the rubble is falling in the rivers, the mud is falling in the rivers. If you see the Ganges, and if you see any river, you will find that the siltation is rising. And that is what is bringing in floods. In Kerala in 2018, when the flood occurred, I was shocked, because Kerala is the state with 42 rivers, but smaller rivers compared to Narmada, Godavari, Krishna, Brahmaputra, comparatively much smaller rivers, and still it happened. Because the encroachment on the rivers, with not only silt, but also buildings that have come up in the river bed, affects the rivers. Rivers are also living entities. There was a judgment of the Uttarakhand court. There was a judgment of the Netherlands court. But this is not considered in the development paradigm of the present days. And rivers are also destroyed in many ways. Riverfront projects are built. 107 rivers, those are planned for. Every project has crores of rupees investment, and every project gives some commission to someone or other. But what has happened to Sabarmati River in Gujarat? What is the judgment of the High Court? High Court has given much, repulsing judgment, saying that you have destroyed the river. And then they have taken environmentalists, young activists into the committee to really save Sabarmati. But this is not happening everywhere. Unless the government is really democratic, unless the government takes a position, whichever party, I'm not with any party, that any development project can be planned only with consent of the village community, then only the articles in the Constitution of India, Article 243 and 244, will be complied with. Otherwise, this is violated. The three-tier local self-government, what is a great name it is given, local self-government. But is every village community's panchayat or up to district panchayat, beyond taluk, is that the unit for development planning today? No. It comes from the top and it imposes the projects on the bottom. And then the people are compelled to fight. I remember Comrade Achyutanandan, to whom we used to meet and take up the issues like the national highway in Kerala. And he took a decision based on the dialogue that yes, we will not go beyond 30 meters because people had already changed their house sites somewhat to adjust for the highway. They were not against highway totally. But then when that changed into, instead of 30, how much? 90 meters or so. 45 meters, 15 meters more. Then the people had to take up the struggle at Satyagraha. And what happened? Erratic rainfall. It happens any time. Within 2 days, the whole annual rainfall comes up, and that devastates the highway in Kerala. This is happening in Maharashtra. 29 districts are affected this year. And in so many states this is happening. And who are facing these calamities? The real communities who are living simple life, who are serving the rest of the civil society, giving comforts to the others, serving them, feeding them, they are the ones who face it. How contradictory it is. How heartbreaking it is. And that is why it is our duty to look into what is happening in the name of development. The big dams, many of you might have thought of, that challenging a big dam like Sardar Sarovar in Narmada is anti-development. That is what we are blamed for. Not only anti-development, anti-national, and also urban Nakshals, as if Nakshalites were urban. They were never urban. But what has happened in the name of that big dam, you will not know easily. The real regions where the water had to reach, they are not benefited. 450 companies are benefited. Water reached Kutch, but first to the Adani port, to the Jindal Steel and others, where also those projects have not taken into consideration the impact on 10,000 fish workers because of their projects. And what is happening? Lakhs of liters of water in Kutch after reaching Kutch is thrown away into the open Rana Maidan. And this I came to know when the salt pan workers came to me and started crying, weeping, saying that that water of Narmada which comes from your region is finishing our livelihoods. Who will take into consideration all these results? Who will see that the tourism projects around the dam is spent thousands of crores rupees, and hence the dam cost was 4,200 crores, changed to 6,400, then 13,000, then 25,000, and today 90,000 crores. And what is happening to the displaced people? No doubt it is the protest, it is the satyagraha, non-violent protest that we are always for. Never pelt a stone, never even take the tir kamtha, which the Adivasis' tradition was of, be permitted. And through that we got displacement and rehabilitation of 50,000 families. But still those who remain, we have to really continue our work, and we cannot live in between. This is happening everywhere when the USA, United States of America, has decommissioned 1,951 dams to make the rivers flow freely. When the European Commission has taken recently a decision and passed a resolution that by 2030, they will make 25,000 kilometers of rivers flow freely. Why? not just to say a salmon fish. When I was also one of the commissioners on the World Commission on Dam, the chief in the United States of America, Daniel Beard, had said this to me, that we have taken cognizance of and assessed the cost and benefit both. And this is, the cooler is really troubling. And he said that the big dams compel us to pay more cost than the real benefits to the real needy people. And this is what is the experience of all big dams, which is also an encroachment upon the rivers. Can we not manage with an alternative decentralized water management? It is possible. Through small tanks, small dams, but also watershed management. Can we not generate power through alternative sources which are renewable sources? What is the outcome of the present kind of management is brought today in the latest report that is in my hands. It is the climate change that has brought the planet on the brink. 100,000, not 100,000 and 500 scientists are warning us that if we continue to do this, the temperature till last year they were saying will go up to 2%, 2 degrees centigrade. And even today when we face heat, who face it? The construction workers, the real manual laborers, whether in the field or whether in the cities, they are facing hell and death. And lakhs of deaths are occurring because of this, which are not even on the record of our governments, as happened even in the corona pandemic time period. But now they are saying that the temperature will go up by even 3 degrees centigrade. And that will be finishing off humanity, not just the crop in the field, not just affect the health of individuals. It will really finish off the humanity. This is by the eminent scientists, 1,500 across the world, that is given warning. Should we not pay attention to this? If this saint was alive, he would not have kept quiet. And hence we also should not keep quiet when this is what is happening around us. And it is not only thermal power projects. The steel and oil generation, cement manufacturing, all of this is also having impacts. So how much can I really refer to what is happening today, to the land, to forest, and also to the rivers, and that is affecting life and livelihoods of a large percentage of our people. And hence it is necessary. Even globally it is discussed, some kind of resolutions are passed, but no, the local ground level actions are necessary. I would only appeal to you all that when you feel inspired with the experience of a saint like the Parumela Thirumaninji, the Gregorios saint, you cannot just pray him and get yourself tied to the feet of God. He has said many things about God. The real God is worshipped in the soul and the truth. So whether you reach a church, a temple, a gurudwara or a masjid, you have to have the God in your hands. But he also said that he who loves best his fellow beings is the real devotee of God. This is the most important message. Hence, fighting against the liquor, fighting against all kinds of addiction, of power, of money, of corporate kind of economy is something that we must stand for. And this is possible if there is real democracy, if there is real good communication between the people's representatives that get elected through the elections, which cost thousands of crores, and if they are also sensitive towards the values that are there in our Indian constitution. This is Mahashweta Devi's small message, that the real democracy is that in which the exploited, the deprived and harassed communities get the due space to participate. And to make that happen, it will not happen like a magic. It will happen only if we start not only the struggles, not only the agitations. There is a good report like Nava Keralam. How much should I talk about it? I have no time now. I have to catch a train. But it is very necessary to understand that that vision which is there in the Nava Keralam is something that guide every state and whole of India. If our idea of India is that idea which he had, we can start with our own community, our own small region, or also take it the state level activity. Support wherever the people are struggling hard to get their basic right fulfilled of education, health, housing, or so on. You certainly can become a change agent. Even housing, so much change is coming up. And that is leading to illegal sand mining. That is leading to maximum cement manufacturing. I see in Kerala was a beautiful picture earlier. A small land with a small house, with a small lake, and everything covered with a green cover on the earth, which needs to be saved. But today everything is changed. Less in Kerala compared to many other states and the megapolis. But when we change the housing technology, I remember Laurie Baker. He was in Kerala, an Australian architect. And that technology we are adopting and demonstrating in our areas through one young architect from Maharashtra who took that training and has come back with great commitment. Beautiful, aesthetically sensitive and proper, with natural resources, the houses can be built. To have the tin shed which is painted with that color, but it is not really roof tiles, makes a lot of difference. So we need to really, one would say, should we go back? No, it is going forward. With sustainability, that means saving nature, saving people, considering what will happen in future. The future generation. As I said, unity, equity brings in justice. And that is what is something that we must take the inspiration and message from his life and his lifelong actions. And that is why just 2 lines of a Keralite Malayalam songs. Malayalam also means, just now I got the real meaning. Mala is the Parbat and Alam is the sea. And this beautiful and bountiful state of yours needs to be saved with all this beauty and bounty. And that is for the future generation. So that song really inspires me as much as the life of this first Indian saint. Ini varunnaru talamurakya ividavasam sadhyamo malinamaya jalashayam adi malinamayura bhumiyam. Ini varunnaru talamurakya. Thank you so much.